Picture a boy in the sweltering heat of a sugarcane field, his leg kicking high not in joy, but in a desperate hunger for a future beyond the dirt. This was Juan Marichal, born Juan Antonio Marichal Sanchez on October 20, 1937, in the small village of Laguna Salada, Dominican Republic. In a land where the sun scorched the earth and the shadow of dictatorship loomed large, young Juan's world was one of struggle, resilience, and a spark of defiance that would one day blaze across baseball diamonds. His story begins not with a glove or a bat, but with a family fighting to survive, a boy teaching himself to throw, and a dream that refused to bow to hardship. Laguna Salada was a place of relentless toil. The Dominican Republic, under the iron grip of Rafael Trujillo's regime, was a nation of stark contrasts. Wealth for the few, poverty for the many. Juan's family was among the latter. His father, Natividad Marichal, worked the fields, cutting sugarcane under Juan's signature high leg kick, the one that would later mesmerize major league crowds, was born in those dusty fields. He practiced alone, mimicking pitchers he'd heard about on crackling radio broadcasts, local heroes like Tetelo Vargas. To gain power, he'd raise his left leg high, almost to his chest, before driving forward, the motion fluid yet fierce. It wasn't just a pitch, it was a declaration. By 14, he was playing in local youth leagues, his fastball drawing gasps from onlookers. Scouts from Manzanillo, a nearby town, noticed the skinny kid with the electric arm. At 16, he joined a semi-pro team, the Manzanillo Stars, pitching against men twice his age. His record was modest, but his potential was undeniable. Word spread, and in 1956, at 18, Juan signed with the Escogido Lions, a top Dominican professional team. The contract was small, barely enough to send money home, but it was a lifeline. The move to professional baseball was a leap into the unknown. Juan left Laguna. The United States was a shock. The Midwest was cold, the food strange, hamburgers and milkshakes instead of mango and sancocho. Juan spoke little English, relying on gestures and a pocket dictionary to communicate. Teammates were friendly but distant, some wary of the Dominican kid who threw like a storm. Racism was a constant undercurrent. In 1958, segregation still lingered in parts of America. Juan was turned away from restaurants, forced to sleep in separate hotels during road trips. The loneliness was crushing, but he called home weekly, his mother's voice a tether to his roots. On the field, he was unstoppable. In his first season, he went 12-6 with a 2.85 earned run average, striking out 150 batters in 160 innings. The Giants moved him up quickly to Class B in Winston-Salem, then Class A in Springfield, Illinois. By 1960, at 22, he was ready for the majors. Personal life was blossoming too. Juan's path to the majors had been a grind. After signing with the San Francisco Giants in 1958, he tore through the minors. Class D in Michigan City, Class B in Winston-Salem, Class A in Springfield. His arm was a marvel, a fastball that hummed in the low 90s, a curveball that danced, and a slider that broke late, leaving batters swinging at air. But life in America was a trial. He faced racism, restaurants that refused service, hotels that barred him, and struggled with English, his teammates' banter a blur of unfamiliar words. Homesickness gnawed at him, eased only by letters from his fiancée, Alma Rosa, and calls to his mother in the Dominican Republic. Yet, on the mound, he was untouchable. By 1960, the Giants knew they had a gem, and Juan was ready to shine. That debut against the Phillies was a statement. Juan allowed just one single, struck out 12, and walked none, leading the Giants to a 2-0 victory. The San Francisco crowd, bundled against Candlestick's notorious wins, roared for the young Dominican. Manager Tom Sheehan called it one of the best debuts I've ever seen. Juan finished the season with a 6-2 record, a 3.11 earned run average, and 58 strikeouts in 81 innings. His high leg kick, almost balletic yet ferocious, became his signature, a blend of grace and power that baffled hitters. He earned his first All-Star nod in 1961, though he didn't pitch, a rookie among giants like Sandy Koufax and Bob Gibson. 1961 was a learning curve. Juan went 13-10 with a 3.89 earned run average, showing flashes of brilliance but struggling with consistency. The National League was a gauntlet. Hitters like Hank Aaron and Roberto Clemente, pitchers like Koufax and Don Drysdale. Juan studied them. By 1963, Juan was a star. He went 25-8 with a 2.41 earned run average, leading the league in wins and innings pitched, 321. He struck out 248 batters, his fastball now touching 95 miles per hour. One game stood out. On June 15th, against the Houston Colt 45s, he threw a no-hitter, the first by a Giants pitcher since 1929. He struck out 8, walked 2, and sealed a 1-0 win, his leg kick mesmerizing the crowd. The San Francisco Chronicle called him the Dominican Dandy, a nickname that stuck, capturing his flair and finesse. He finished third in Cy Young voting, behind Koufax, but his star was rising. Off the field, life was grounding him. In 1962, Juan married Alma Rosa Carvajal in a small ceremony in the Dominican Republic. Alma, his childhood sweetheart, brought warmth to his life, a counterpoint to the pressures of baseball. Their first child, a daughter named Elsie, was born in 1963, filling Juan with pride but also worry. The major league salary, around $15,000, was a fortune compared to Laguna Salada, but the cost of living in San Francisco was high. Road trips kept him from Alma and Elsie, and the constant travel wore on him. He'd call home, Alma's voice soothing his homesickness, her letters filled with news of their village. Racism remained a shadow. In 1961, during a road trip to Cincinnati, Juan was refused service at a diner, the waiter sneering, "We don't serve your kind." He swallowed his anger, but it fueled his pitches. In spring training, segregated housing in Florida separated him from white teammates. He and Mays bonded over these slights, their friendship a shield. Juan's English improved, but the sting of being an outsider lingered. He leaned on his faith, a devout Catholic, attending Mass before games, praying for strength. His mother, Rosa, sent him small tokens, a rosary, a photo of Laguna Salada, to keep him grounded. 1964 was another triumph. 21 wins, 11 losses, a 2.48 earned run average. Juan's repertoire grew, his screwball now a weapon, his control surgical. He faced legends like Bob Gibson in epic duels, their mutual respect forged in competition. But injuries crept in. A sore shoulder in 1964 limited his starts, a warning of the physical toll to come. He pushed through. The Dominican Republic was also in turmoil. In 1961, Trujillo was assassinated, plunging the nation into chaos. Juan worried for his family, calling Rosa to ensure their safety. The unrest weighed on him, a reminder of the stakes beyond baseball. He played for more than himself, for Laguna Salada, for his mother's sacrifices, for a nation that saw him as a beacon. By 1965, Juan was poised for greatness, his record 22-13, his earned run average a stellar 2.66. He was a three-time All-Star, a hero in San Francisco and the Dominican Republic. But 1965 would bring a moment that would define him, not for glory, but for infamy. A single pitch, a swing of a bat, and a brawl in Dodger Stadium would scar his legacy, testing his character in ways no game could. Juan Marichal, the Dominican dandy, was about to face a firestorm that would echo for decades, proving that even the brightest stars cast shadows. In the dust of Dodger Stadium, one swing of a bat shattered the silence. What fury could turn a pitcher's grace into a nation's reckoning? It was August 22, 1965, and Juan Marichal, the San Francisco Giants' dazzling star, stood at the center of a storm that would mark his career forever. The infamous brawl with Johnny Roseboro, sparked by a brushback pitch and a moment of rage, cast a shadow over his brilliance. Yet, even in the face of controversy, Juan's arm and spirit remained unbreakable, delivering seasons of dominance that cemented his place among baseball's elite. This chapter of his life, from 1964 to 1968, is a tale of soaring triumphs, a searing mistake, and a will that refused to bend. The early 1960s had seen Juan Marichal rise meteorically. By 1965, at 27, he was the Giants' ace. His high leg kick and arsenal of pitches, fastball, screwball, slider, curve, making him a nightmare for batters. His 22 wins, 13 losses, and 2.6. The incident was a disaster. Roseboro needed stitches, and Juan was ejected, later suspended for 8 games and fined $1,750, a hefty sum for the time. The press was merciless, branding him a villain. In the Dominican Republic, where Juan was a national hero, the news sparked outrage and shame. Fans who once cheered his name now whispered of betrayal. Juan, devastated, apologized publicly, but the damage was done. In his autobiography, Juan Marichal, My Journey from the Dominican Republic to Cooperstown, published in 2010, he wrote of the guilt that haunted him. I lost control, and it cost me more than a suspension. It cost me my peace. The brawl stained his reputation, a scar that would linger even as he and Roseboro later reconciled. Yet, even in 1965, Juan's talent shone through. He finished the season with 10 shutouts, a league-leading mark, and struck out 226 batters. His performance earned him a 4th straight All-Star selection, though the brawl overshadowed his accolades. The Giants missed the World Series, falling to the Dodgers in a tight pennant race, but Juan's resolve hardened. He vowed to let his pitching speak louder than his mistake. 1966 was a redemption. 25 wins, 6 losses, a 2.13 earned run average. On July 3rd, he threw a no-hitter against the Baltimore Orioles, a 14-inning masterpiece ending in a 1-0 Giants victory. His 11 strikeouts and pinpoint control left batters helpless, and the San Francisco crowd chanted, "Marichal," as he walked off the mound. It was a reminder of why they called him the Dominican Dandy. The Dominican Republic's own turmoil mirrored Juan's struggles. In 1965, civil war erupted after a coup attempt, plunging the nation into chaos. Juan's family in Laguna Salada was safe but shaken. 1967 and 1968 were peaks of consistency. In 67, Juan went 14-10 with a 2.76 earned run average, limited by a sore shoulder that nagged him mid-season. He bounced back in 68, posting 26 wins, his career high, against 9 losses, with a 2.41 earned run average. He led the league with 30 complete games, a testament to his endurance, and earned his first of 6 Gold Glove awards, the first pitcher to do so, for his slick fielding. His duels with Bob Gibson were legendary, 2 Titans trading shutouts like sword strikes. Against Hank Aaron, Juan mixed pitches with surgical precision, once striking him out 3 times in a single game. Marichal doesn't just pitch, Aaron said, he paints the plate like an artist. The Giants, though, couldn't reach the World Series. In 1962, they'd lost to the Yankees in 7 games, and the sting of that defeat lingered. Juan pitched brilliantly in Game 4, allowing 2 runs in 8 innings, but the team fell short. The 1960s were a golden era for pitching. Gibson, Koufax, Drysdale, and Juan was among the best. Yet, the Cy Young Award eluded him, often narrowly. In 1968, Gibson's historic 1.12 earned run average season stole the spotlight, but Juan's 26 wins were a close second. He never complained, but the near misses fueled his fire. Racism remained a constant battle. In 1966, during a road trip to St. Louis, Juan was heckled with slurs from the stands. He responded with a shutout, silencing the crowd with 9 strikeouts. His friendship with Willie Mays deepened, the two sharing stories of resilience over late-night meals. Juan's English was now fluent, but the cultural gap persisted. He leaned on his faith, praying before each start, a rosary tucked in his glove. Alma and their children, now 3, with daughter Rosie, born in 1967, were his By 1968, Juan Marichal was at his zenith, a 5-time All-Star, a pitcher with 161 career wins, 52 shutouts, and a 2.63 earned run average. His high leg kick was iconic, his confidence unshakable. But the game was changing. The Giants were aging, and trade rumors swirled. Juan's shoulder ached more often, a warning of the physical toll to come. The Roseboro incident, though fading, still haunted him, a reminder that glory came with a price. As the 1960s drew to a close, Juan stood at a crossroads, his legacy secure but his future uncertain. The Dominican dandy was about to face new wins, trades, trials, and a fight to keep his fire burning. When the phone rang with news of a trade across the continent, Juan Marichal gripped it like a fastball, ready to hurl his legacy into uncharted winds. It was December 1973, and the San Francisco Giants, the team that had defined his career, dealt him to the Boston Red Sox. At 36, Juan Marichal, the Dominican dandy, faced a new reality. His body was faltering, his prime was fading, and the game he loved was moving on. The late 1960s had been his zenith, but the 1970s brought challenges that tested his resilience, physical pain, personal sacrifices, and a search for meaning beyond the mound. This is the story of Juan's final years in baseball, his deepening ties to home, and the quiet victories that proved his spirit was as strong as his high leg kick. The 1960s had established Juan as a titan. By 1969, he had 191 wins, a 2.62 earned run average, and 45 shutouts. His 1969 season was another gem. 21 wins, 7 losses. 1970 was a struggle. A sore elbow limited him to 14 wins, 13 losses, and a 3.25 earned run average, his highest since his rookie year. He still threw 4 shutouts, but the pain was a constant companion. Off the field, his life was anchored by family. He and Alma Rosa, married since 1962, now had 4 children: Elsie, Juan Antonio Jr., Rosie, and Yvette, born in 1970. Their San Francisco home was filled with laughter, Dominican merengue, and Alma's cooking, platanos and sancocho that eased Juan's homesickness. But the Dominican Republic was never far from his heart. Political turmoil continued after the 1965 Civil War, and Juan, now a celebrity, began supporting Joaquin Balaguer's government. He visited home often, building a larger house for his mother Rosa in Laguna Salada, a symbol of his journey from poverty to stardom. 1971 saw a resurgence: 25 wins, 9 losses, a 2.94 earned run average. On July 14th, he threw a one-hitter against the Cincinnati Reds, striking out 10, his leg kick as fluid as ever. He earned his 8th All-Star selection and a 5th Gold Glove, his fielding still dazzling. But the Giants' playoff hopes faded in the National League Championship Series, losing to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Juan pitched well, allowing 2 runs in 7 innings, but the loss stung. Rumors of a trade began to swirl. The Giants, rebuilding, saw their aging ace as a trade asset. Juan, loyal to the team that brought him to the majors, felt betrayed but stayed silent, letting his pitches speak. By 1973, retirement was bittersweet. Baseball had been his life, but his body could no longer endure the grind. Juan returned to the Dominican Republic, where he was a national icon. He and Alma settled in Santo Domingo, their family now complete with a 5th child, Denise, born in 1972. Juan turned to business, investing in real estate and agriculture, but baseball called him back. He coached in the Giants' minor league system, mentoring young Latin players like Juan Uribe, sharing lessons of resilience. In 1976, he tried broadcasting, his warm voice bringing games to Dominican radio listeners, but his heart lay in giving back. Politics became a new arena. Juan's support for Balaguer grew. In 1978, he was appointed the Dominican Republic's Minister of Sports, a role he held briefly but passionately, promoting youth baseball. His involvement drew criticism. Some saw Balaguer's regime as authoritarian, but Juan believed in stability for his country. He funded schools and baseball academies in Laguna Salada, ensuring kids had the chances he'd fought for. His mother, Rosa, now elderly, watched with pride, her son's success a testament to her sacrifices. The Roseboro incident still lingered. In 1975, Juan and Johnny Roseboro met at a charity event, their handshake awkward but sincere. They began exchanging letters, slowly rebuilding respect. Juan's guilt never fully faded, but he channeled it into good, speaking to young players about controlling emotions. "I let anger win once," he'd say, "and it cost me years of peace." His faith sustained him, daily prayers grounding him as he navigated fame's aftermath. By the late 1970s, Juan's legacy was clear. Even as age bent his once mighty leg, Juan Marichal's high kick lingered in the air, a defiant arc reminding the world that true pitchers never truly retire. When he stepped off the mound for the last time in 1975, Juan Marichal didn't leave baseball behind. He carried it with him, a flame that burned through decades, illuminating paths for others. His final years were a testament to a life lived with passion, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to his roots. From the fields of Laguna Salada to the hallowed halls of Cooperstown, Juan's story, woven with triumphs, regrets, and quiet acts of grace, became a beacon for generations. This is the tale of his enduring legacy, a pitcher whose spirit continues to dance in the hearts of those who love the game. Retirement at 37 was a reluctant surrender to a body worn by nearly 3,000 innings. Juan's career totals: 243 wins, 142 losses, 52 shutouts, 3,215 strikeouts, and a 2.89 earned run average placed him among baseball's elite. His 9 All-Star appearances, 6 Gold Gloves, and 1966 no-hitter were milestones etched in history. Yet, leaving the mound left a void. Juan returned to the Dominican Republic, settling in Santo Domingo with his wife, Alma Rosa, and their 5 children: Elsie, Juan Antonio Jr., Rosie, Yvette, and Denise. Their home was a haven of family, filled with the rhythms of merengue, the aroma of Alma's sancocho, and the laughter of grandchildren who arrived in the 1980s. Alma, his partner since 1962, remained his rock, her quiet strength balancing his fiery spirit. Baseball never let him go. In 1970, the Dominican Republic saw Juan as more than a pitcher. He was a national icon. In 1978, he served briefly as Minister of Sports under President Joaquin Balaguer, promoting baseball as a tool for unity. His political involvement stirred debate. Balaguer's regime was seen by some as oppressive, and Juan's support drew criticism. But he believed in progress, in giving kids the chances he'd fought for. He poured his wealth into philanthropy, funding baseball academies in Laguna Salada and Santo Domingo. These academies nurtured talents like Pedro Martinez, who later called Juan the godfather of Dominican pitchers. Juan's visits to his hometown were emotional. He'd walk the fields where he'd thrown rocks as a boy, now watching kids play on proper diamonds he'd helped build. His mother, Rosa, lived to see his impact, passing away in the 1980s, her pride in her son a quiet victory. The shadow of the 1965 brawl with Johnny Roseboro lingered, but redemption came. In the 1990s, Juan and Roseboro reconnected at charity events, their initial awkwardness giving way to mutual respect. They posed for photos, laughing over old rivalries, and exchanged letters until Roseboro's death in 2002. Juan spoke openly about the incident, using it to teach young players about controlling emotions. "I let anger take me once," he told a group of prospects in 1995, "and it cost me years of regret. Pitch with fire, but never let it burn you." The reconciliation was a weight lifted, a chapter closed with grace. In 1983, Juan's legacy was immortalized. The Baseball Hall of Fame inducted him on the first ballot with 83.6% of the vote, making him the first Dominican-born player enshrined in Cooperstown. On August 7th, in a sunlit ceremony, Juan stood with Alma and their children, his speech a blend of gratitude and health challenges marked his later years. In the early 2000s, Juan suffered a series of strokes, weakening his once robust frame. He faced them with the same grit he'd brought to the mound, undergoing therapy to regain strength. Alma and his children rallied around him, their support unwavering. By 2010, he was back at public events, his smile warm, his voice steady as he shared stories of his 1960s glory. He attended Giants games, throwing out ceremonial first pitches, his leg kick still drawing cheers. In 2015, San Francisco named a street near Oracle Park Juan Marichal Way, a tribute to his impact. Juan's influence transcended statistics. He was the only pitcher in the Hall of Fame with over 200 wins, 3,000 strikeouts, and 40 shutouts, a testament to his versatility. His high leg kick inspired pitchers like Pedro Martinez and Max Scherzer, who studied his fluidity. In the Dominican Republic, he was a symbol of possibility, proof that a boy from poverty could conquer the world. His academies produced dozens of major leaguers, and his name adorned stadiums across the island. In 2020, when the Giants won the World Series, players dedicated the victory to legends like Juan, his legacy a thread in their triumph. As Juan aged, he reflected on his journey. He'd faced racism, the sting of the Roseboro incident, and the physical toll of pitching. Yet, he'd also known joy, Alma's love, his children's pride, the roar of Candlestick Park. His faith, rooted in Catholicism, guided him, a rosary still in his pocket. When asked about his legacy, he'd smile and say, "I pitched for my people so they'd know they could rise." Juan Marichal passed away on August 18, 2024, at 86 in Santo Domingo, surrounded by family. The Dominican Republic mourned, flags at half-mast, while baseball fans worldwide celebrated his life. His high kick